All right, everyone. This is our second topic on our open source projects, and we're going to jump right into it. We have a large project we're undertaking. It's the start of a health operating system, and we have multiple components that we are open sourcing that we are starting development on now. And we have a roadmap, and we have some new communication tools we're going to talk about here. And we'll put them into the show notes on YouTube as far as those links go. But now I'm going to turn it over to Nabyl, kind of a continuation of our last open source discussion. And we're just going to talk about what we have going on now, what the plan is, and how you can get involved. So Nabyl, I will turn it over to you now.
Yeah, and I am going to share a slide here, and let me know when everybody gets it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Got it.
Okay. Do you say you see just the slide or the whole screen?
The whole screen. You're going to have to
screen.
Okay. Yeah, whole screen.
I love this slide, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so just a little the beginning of the whole story. So you guys are all familiar with Humantive, and if you're not, it's our app that Citizen Health are testing in beta, and we have a lot of testers playing with it. And the goal of the app is basically to get people healthy and to keep them healthy. So what it does is it pulls all the data from their wearable devices, other apps if they have some that have health data, vitals, and then we aggregate all this data and we create something we call the health score. So that health score will tell you how you're doing as a general health. And we're still improving this algorithm. We're still improving, adding new sources, new data sources for all these applications and the wearables that people have. So from this Humantive app, we have two critical pieces. So one of them is the whole data aspect of things, like how much data we bring, where do we get it from? So Fitbit, Apple Health, Apple Watch, etc. And then on the other side, how to create this health score. So we decided to basically open source those two projects. And one of them, the first one, I'm not going to talk a lot about it right now, which is the health score. And it's basically figuring out how to quantify the health of a person from all their health data. So we're starting right now with health data, but eventually we're going to move to medical data and how to also personalize that. For example, somebody who exercises a certain amount of time every day might be healthier than somebody who exercises more because genetically they're, healthier. They have some history that makes them healthier than the others. So we don't want to have things to be very absolute, but more relative to the person features like genetics, physiology, etc. So that project, we're still kind of really at the beginning of it, and we're trying to come up with specifications, with bringing collaborators to help with, but it's also part of our open source initiative. The second one, which I want to talk about today, is the one that we are starting with because it's really needed right now with Humantive, and it goes around the whole data aspect of things and EHR, EMR, whatever we call them. And we're not trying to fix the whole interoperability or, creating our own electronic health record, but what we're trying to do is essentially giving to people access to their data, all their data from all the sources, anytime, anywhere. So we are focusing a lot on mobile. So we want this project to work on a phone, on Alexa, on any device that's not just a computer. And we also want this data we don't want to store the data, even if we're kind of a blockchain, we're working with blockchain, but all we want to do is import this data and format it and show it to everybody and give to people access to managing this data, but also share it to anybody they want. So if you're looking at my screen right now, at this slide, it kind of gives a little overview of all the modules that constitute this project. And the first one is Mediflux. We call it Mediflux. We give this kind of cute names to all these modules. And Mediflux is one of the most important pieces. And what it does is it allows a user to authenticate, with your Fitbit account, your Apple Watch account, your lab, pharmacy, insurance provider account, and then give authorization to Mediflux to pull all the data and then give you the data that you need. So we're not going to save that data. It's going to reside wherever it is right now, because all these providers are already HIPAA compliant. They have security. So we don't want to produce all of that. All we want to do is bring this data, format it, send it to this MediHub, which is the core, and it's the tool that formats all the data, syncs it. So imagine, for example, you have an Apple Watch, but you also have, you go to your doctor and you get your heart rate. So those are the same metric from two different sources. So we actually format all of that and give you one channel, which is called heart rate, and it will have all your data, all this data, and it's going to be time-stamped. So after we get to this MediHub, you can do several things. And actually, I have to step back a little bit. Before even you get to this MediHub, we have Midentity, and Midentity is what's going to allow you to access all this data, all this system. And we want it to be secure. So you cannot access if you're not yourself and you're not authenticated. And we're using some state-of-the-art authentication methods like fingerprints, heart signature. We're going to try to use some double, what is it called? The phone authentication. I forgot the technical name, but there's all these new ways of authenticating and then securing all your data. So when you do that, you access this MediHub, this Mediflux, and then you can either share all your data or parts of your data, and you can share it not only forever, but you can give, a timestamp. I want to share it from today noon to tomorrow, or I want to, I know that I'm sharing it with this person. I want to stop the sharing right now because he's not my doctor anymore. So all of that is going to be part of this module, MediShare, and then we have MediShow on top, which is kind of something also that we're looking at right now with Humantive, which is we have all this data, and a lot of the data is really easy to visualize. Your steps, your heart rate. But when it comes to things a little bit more complicated, how can we actually visualize some of the data or a group of data? So if I want to, for example, to look at my blood glucose, but also hemoglobin and all of them, and visualize everything to give me an idea of how I'm doing with for glucose. Am I pre-diabetic, diabetic? I mean, some really easy way of visualizing the different metrics to make it significant for the user. So that's going to be in the visualization module. And then the last part is the MediShape. And with MediShape, you get all this data. And if you want to save it or send it to a provider or send it to a specific format, you can do that. So this MediShape is going to consist of a lot of different converters that are going to convert to the right format. And so all of this is going to consist this open source project, and each one of the modules can be extendable. So for example, Mediflux, we're going to start with some known wearables, with some known maybe clinical APIs. But if, for example, a clinic or a new wearable device company comes to us and says like, hey, we like your project and we have our data, we want to add it to your system. Well, they actually can do it without even us intervening, because it's an open source. They can just create the little module. We're going to create all the specifications for the API. They're going to work on their side, bring it here, and then you get an extra data source provider. And that's valid for all the different modules. So right now, what we're doing is that we have some of the initial code that we're using in Humantive, but we need to port it to open source. And that means that we want to make it a little bit more open and modular for extension. And we're looking for developers to help. We're looking for all different kind of professions around medical IT, but also just, physicians. We need to know, for example, how physicians want to visualize data, how they want to receive it. We want to know if they have an opinion on MediShare, for example, because we don't know we don't have all the knowledge. And we want also patient to tell us, for example, hey, I have problems that, when I go to my app, my medical app, I always have problems with identity. It never works. So we can make it, improve it and make things kind of better. So that's a little bit the overview. And I'm trying to get you guys questions or comments on this. And if you have some specific questions on some of the modules, I can kind of develop a little bit more the what we're doing. Well, maybe we can also ask Megan. So Megan has been working on all the infrastructure to support this open source. So we have a website right now. We have our GitHub. We're creating a forum. We have Rocket Chat. So we're trying to organize everything. So we have code of conduct. We have some rules that we developed. And maybe, Megan, if you want to just talk about it a little bit or ask everybody else for questions.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Thanks for that overview of what we're trying to put together here. So I think it's very much just a work in progress, and I think that's what health will always kind of be. And just centering, Brendan, I'm going to get you to maybe chime in here too, but some of our governance and how we operate is just completely different from a lot of these other companies. We want to be more of a partner, and a partner with doctors, a partner with citizens, a partner in your health, so that we're not like ruling over people, but we're all in this together. And I think that's something important to distinguish. But in terms of just governance too, we want your ideas as well. So that's going to be one of our pages that will come up. That's, again, this whole notion of just work in progress and continuance. But I think it's kind of refreshing to know that you need to tell us like how we should maybe work to make something better, or something that we can put into the health score, or something that a feature that a doctor would need to help them with their patients, or their records, or their scheduling. So we want your ideas. We want to bring these into to our platform and our capacity. But Brendan, can you talk just a little bit quickly about liquid democracy, some of the governance and the voting that we'd like to do, because you place it a lot more eloquently than I do.
Yeah, sure. I'm about to share a link with everyone right now. It's called Argon, and this is a blockchain project that started a couple of years ago, and it was made for a way to organize a lot of people around a common goal. And you probably heard of decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs. That's a general idea of what they're trying to develop. Imagine a lot of people, say 1,000 people, coming together, voting on the direction that they want this organization to go. And everybody has, in a traditional cooperative, you got one member, one vote model. But with Argon and with this newer technology, is however the amount of tokens you have, the amount of equity in a company you have, you can actually vote, and your vote could be weighted more or less, just depending on a few factors. But what I just shared there, argon.org, if you take a look at that, you can see there's a short little video playing of exactly what this is. And we will be implementing this. It's a way where if you own equity in Citizen Health, if you own tokens, you are allowed to vote. And you can see that short video kind of going through here. We're going to have ways where we do propose votes, certain situations, just like I saw the chat here, just the names. So we can propose maybe a new name for a particular module, and everybody that has a stake in citizen health gets to vote on that name. And we're going to go with the vote. We're a very democratic organization. We want everything to be owned and controlled by us, the members, everybody. It's not this top-down approach where just 1 or 2 or 3 people make the decisions. We want it to come up from the ground up. So what we're trying to do with this and a lot of these different modules is go to the people, go to the physicians and say, all right, let's come together. Let's discuss what you need and what you want to make your life better. And let's build that. Let's figure out what that is and build it. And we want to bring the patients to the table, bring the caregivers to the table, and let's figure out what's going to work best for all of us and not what's going to work best for the insurance companies. So really get the people that are involved in healthcare together, and let's propose and vote on the things that we do all want and need. And then once those are agreed upon, we start to build them. So that's our mission, and this is 100% transparent. This is open source for everybody to communicate and collaborate on. This is not necessarily open source. This is more crowdsourced too. I like that term a little bit better because open source really has only been around about 20 years of the actual terminology, and it's mainly been limited to code, to developing software. But now open sourcing this is more like crowdsourcing ideas and crowdsourcing people's work, people's intelligence. Probably heard of wisdom of the crowd theories and stuff like that. That's kind of what we're doing here. We're tapping the intelligence of every individual to come together to make that the right and correct decision based on the needs of everyone. So this is a large experiment. Nobody's ever done something this big before. I mean, we're starting off small, but this is, everybody that's listening right now, this is the ground floor. This is where we start. Every time somebody comes to us and says, I love what you're doing, I want to be a part, well, that's how we grow. As we tell other people, you tell other people, and anybody that wants to play a part, you're welcome. You're welcome to come. Now, if you start doing something stupid, I guess the community can also kick you out. We haven't reached that part yet. But the idea here is we're all living on this earth together. We all bleed the same. Might as well come together and try to solve this healthcare problem, because we're not getting it right. Hardly anybody's getting it right. I don't think anybody in this world is getting it right. We're just spending more and more, and the outcomes aren't getting as good as they need to be. So this is one large movement of people who want to see a change. And that's where we're at. And starting in 2019, and we only have 45 days left of 2018. So starting in 2019, we're going to start a really big push into this open source movement. And we're going to start trying to attract advisors from a lot of different backgrounds, starting with your physician advisors and going on down to just scientists, technologists, behavioralists, economists, anthropologists, people that just understand people and really put these smart, intelligent people together and bring all of them to the table to start kind of like an advisory think tank where we can depend on a lot of intelligent people to help us move forward. So that's what we're going to have a push for. So if you have anybody in mind that might be interested in serving one of those roles, then feel free to share what we're doing and bring them on. So hopefully.
Awesome. And that structure makes sense too. And it's everybody. I mean, anybody can contribute here too, and we'll direct you where to go, because not everybody has to go into GitHub. They can come into the forum, and if you are, you could be a social worker, a teacher, a professor, anybody, everybody needs healthcare. So you need to tell us how we make it better and how we directly help you. That's the thing. This is totally for citizens, by citizens, to help each other. So that's the best way. So go into GitHub for the technical stuff, come into the forum, or come into our Rocket chat for pretty much everything else. But we want to make this just as much about you as us. It's everybody in. And I think too, just some of our meta incentives too coming up here. We haven't nailed things down yet, so we're also going to want your feedback, though, how to take on projects or teams and incentivize with Medit. We don't want to just make it about that, but also, if we're going to take on a large project, we want to compensate you in some ways. So we'll look at that, but we're looking for different solutions. So, and that's where if it's something very, it's going to take a long time to come to fruition. We want to see your ideas, though. So we'll have those all in GitHub, or again, forum or Rocket Chat. Just propose things, and we'll start to get some buzz going around there. Yeah. Does anybody have any additional questions?
Looks like my son is on here. That Anthony is not me twice. That's my son. So, Brendan, Anthony, y'all need to probably, kind of jump in and talk. Not right now, but whatever. Just.
Hey, Anthony.
He's muted. I sent him a chat message that he was muted. Somebody unmute Anthony. There he is. Whoops. Nope.
Wait, while we are talking about this open source thing we have going on, I want to share this real fast. This is consider.it, and I love this, by the way. But there's a few examples you can click on, but click on some of those examples, just take a look at it. Oh, that's a bad example. And you can see how we're going to be implementing something like this, whether we are going to use this or eventually we have to build our own platform to organize people. We're going to use something like this where it's not necessarily a vote, not binary, yes or no. It's more of a kind of a sentiment analysis on where you're at on the scale in terms of agreeing and disagreeing on something. And it's really cool. I mean, I love this on seeing how well some of these proposals resonate with people. And having something like this is, I think, definitely something we need for making large decisions that we're making. So I just want to throw that out there and let everybody see kind of some ideas on what direction we could be going.
Visualization is key, because you can actually see how people are voting and what is holding, but it's not just a yes or no. There's votes can be have to a very I strongly agree to I strongly disagree, but it shows you kind of where people fall on the spectrum. So we get much more data out of that than just a yes or no. And we could go into a deep dive what that could do for our democracy, but right now, just for us, this could be very helpful, and even helping to change people's opinions or minds, as you can see where peers are voting. It's powerful.
Yeah, I like the fact that if you do disagree, you can say why. You do agree, you can say why. Well, like you said, it adds a lot more context into the situation. And this, I think Argon they're going to be moving in a direction like this, because right now it's just simple agree or disagree, or a yes or no on their votes. So,
and they actually, Argon provides an SDK or some resources for us to create anything we want on top. So technically we can today create our own voting mechanism on top of their system.
Awesome. Yeah, that's something we might need to look into, because what we're trying to do, there's not an off-the-shelf solution, and we've been experimenting with different forums, different messaging features. We've been experimenting with a lot of different things, but the more I look at it, I think we almost need to customize something specifically for what we're trying to do. And I think Rocket Chat might be that good platform, at least a good communications platform for us to kind of centralize on and build off of, because I don't know how we can integrate some of these things, but I do see some possibilities there especially with just open source in general. I mean, I think all of this is under an MIT license. Isn't it? Argon is? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it is. Or we can pick that license that James likes so much.
Well, but they are actually provide. I mean, they have the core smart contracts, and we can build anything on top, and we can build apps and also provide them to the community or keep them private. So they have even a UI kit to build our own DApp, so decentralized application. It's amazing. I mean, we can probably even connect. They have their .js, so a JavaScript Web3 interface also, and it's very simple. I think we should seriously look into that, into just building on top of it.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And I've been following Argon since before they had their ICO, and I did invest in that a little bit. So I've been following them since day one. And out of all these blockchain, all the ICOs I've been watching, there's probably like 5 that have actually done anything worthwhile, and this is one of them. So they've been steadily working, and they're gonna. Yeah, I think a couple hundred DAOs have already been built on top of this, and they just took it live to the mainnet 2 weeks ago. So you're gonna see some interesting things come out of this. Let's see here. All right. Well, does anybody have any questions, concerns, feedback?
I think I have a general question just for everybody in attendance. In terms of Mediflux and the data sources that we want to start collecting, does anybody have any ideas as to where we should look first, or what you would like? We're already working with some of Apple Health Kit, and somebody had mentioned, I think Samsung has a health kit as well. But what else would you like to see? What's important to you? Tell us where we should be looking. Any ideas?
This is Matthew. I have a slightly general question here in regards to that, and actually it's kind of geared at John Chamberlain and Brennan. You mentioned, so Megan, you mentioned Apple Health Kit. That's great. Yeah, my data is secured on my iPhone thanks to Epic, teaming up with not just my provider, but a lot of other providers across the country to get on the iPhone. So I like that. Because of the way that these EMRs are, John and Brennan, would it make sense to maybe reach out to an EMR to get more data?
Eventually, I don't think that should be our within the next 6 months. I do think what we're looking at is the people we're going to be working with initially are the ones who are getting away from the hospital systems, the ones that are striking out on their own and going the independent route. So all your cash pay facilities like imaging, surgery centers, direct primary care, just people that want to accept cash and no insurances. So what we're really trying to do is provide that alternative to an EHR, like with everything we're putting together. So that's the direction we're going. So reaching out to EMRs, not so much. Maybe, like I said, eventually I think that would be beneficial. But right now with Human API, our first project is basically to replace Human API for what we're using it for. And with them, they can actually connect to EMRs. Right now, we can connect to Epic or Cerner, but it's very expensive. Just for what we're using, it'd be $10,000 a month just for a handful of users. I think it's $10,000 up until 200 users, and after that, it can go up to $50,000 a month, which is all relative, but $50,000 a month is a whole lot of money right now. So, like I said, eventually we probably will. I think it's going to be a possibility.
John, and this would be something that could actually replace the EMRs for the direct primary care guys?
Correct. Yeah, that's the plan.
And make it a lot easier to use?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. See, if you take away insurance and you look at the EMR after insurance, it's really not a good piece of software. And it doesn't really solve problems. It causes more problems.
That's right.
So what we're looking at, we have another project called Mediflux, and that's our marketplace. Well, it's really looking like the back end of this marketplace. We're building communications on the back end, scheduling and billing. And also with what we're doing with this project and with Humanta, our health score and health records, those will tie in together. And then you have a dashboard where you can just see a glimpse of a person's health over time, pretty much get all the insight you can from that. You have all the possible data input into that score, the health score, and the visualizations. And then you can communicate, you can chat, you can video chat or message the patient. You can send files encrypted, and you can bill on a subscription basis or just a la carte. So that's the alternative to an EHR right there.
That's awesome.
So that's I'm really excited about that, because the more I think about Mediflux, which 2 weeks from now, is it 2 weeks, Megan? I think 2 weeks. We're having another health talk on Mediflux. So that's going to be a really good one to attend and to learn more about this, kind of what we're doing with that. So if you want to take a deeper dive, we'll have more to say there on that one.
That next one is 2 Thursdays, so week after Thanksgiving, and the 29th of November, and same time, 3 p.m. So that's when we'll take a deeper dive. I'm looking forward to that one too.
Yeah, so everything we are doing, it's working together. Right now, it might seem scattered all over the place, but the goal is to bring it all together into one cohesive platform where it all works together. But since we are embarking on this audacious mission, there's a lot of moving parts, and we're going the same direction with all of them, but eventually they will come together. I've talked to somebody and they said, well, you got stuff going all over the place. Well, yeah, that's what it's going to take to fix something so broken. So,
and I really think that the open source initiative is going to accelerate a lot of things, because now we're not only the team working on this, but we're getting a lot of input, and we're going to get some developers to work with us. And what we're doing is not to just do our own design architecture of a tool, but we want a lot of input to get into it. And hopefully people and developers, like contributors, will be excited about that. And then we'll try to accelerate all this development and actually make it public to everybody. So for example, with the open source, what we're making is open source, the modules can be taken separate. So if somebody has a project in a hospital or anywhere else, and they want to add only the authentication module, it's actually designed to be self-sufficient. So they can just use that module. They can use the share module because they already have, an EHR. So why not just use that? And it's open source, free. They can contribute back to it by fixing their own problems, which is going to fix the problem for everybody. So open source is really I think the way to go forward.
I do agree. Especially just the idea of bringing people together, working together, is something that it's getting too fragmented now. We have these silos of intellectual property and also people, silos of people that don't want to work with other people. I mean, one company not want to work with another one. But if you look at the problems we're trying to solve, that's not the solution. I don't think. I think moving to this collaborative style of building things. I mean, just look, what did Red Hat sell for? That's kind of a signal to the market that open source is powerful. And I think you'll see more and more larger open source projects emerge to solve really big problems. And I think that's the best way to solve the problems that plague everybody, is to get everybody involved. Seems like common sense to me. But now I'm excited about this. I've always been a big believer in open source and never participated directly. So now this is a good opportunity to make it happen. So I'm excited about it. And Megan, like you mentioned, there's a lot of ways to participate. Number one way to participate is to share this with others. If you do know anybody that's interested in just fixing healthcare, share this with them. It might resonate. They might want to, they might have a friend that's a developer that wants to help. So first and foremost, spread the word, spread the love. And then secondary, be on social media, help us out with that. Just retweet, like our stuff if it resonates with you. And then especially developers, for sure. We definitely need some developers. Nabyl is going to be handling that. So if you do know anybody that's interested, just direct them his way, and he can handle that. Nabyl, what do you want to be the main platform for communication with developers? Our new Rocket Chat installation?
Yes, probably. I mean, there's going to be a couple of different ways of communicating. For example, GitHub itself has everything to sustain the project, but for the high level decision making, the voting, I think it should be somewhere outside. And right now, Rocket Chat is good, but eventually, if we build a platform on top of Argon, for example, that would be where we vote on things, and then all the proposals can come through GitHub, issues can come through GitHub. There's forums on GitHub, to do things. So it's hopefully a mix of GitHub and Rocket Chat.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Okay, I was going to say something else, but we'll pick it up later. Okay. Well, if anybody has anything else to add, let's go ahead and discuss it. And if not, we can bring this to a close and stop recording.
So just one comment, Brennan. If anybody says anything like, you guys are all the way all around, you can say that Mona Lisa was not made overnight, and you're crazy, but about your craziness, So just keep pushing. Don't get disheartened. Yes, I know what I do when I know, but people don't see and think like I do. So the same applies to this whole big project. Just keep pushing, and I'm happy that you're doing it. And that's one of the reasons why I joined this cause.
Well, thank you, Robbie. I appreciate that.
Glad to have you, Robbie. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the motivation too. And some of these conferences I've been going to that I've been speaking at, the people that come up to me are the ones that say, that's bold. I like that. We've got to do something big to fix the big problem that we have. And, I think people are understanding that now. You can't just keep relying on the status quo to make the changes. That's not going to happen. So I think that's more and more people are starting to understand that it's got to be a large, audacious plan to fix this huge problem. So I think we're going to start pushing that agenda a little more. Almost the bigger, the better. In a way, it's kind of a scary proposal too, to pitch something this large, because you are pointing the finger at the established industry saying, you're doing wrong. There's a problem. We're building something better. So it's exciting. It gets me pumped up. So I think it gets other people pumped up too. And that's what it's going to take. There's a lot of people getting excited coming together. So like I said, Dr. Robbie, I appreciate it. And everybody, your time today, I definitely appreciate that too. I know time is our most valuable resource.
Crazy like a fox.
Yeah.
I posted something, good link there. Check those YouTube videos out, please. And I think that will give you lots of ideas, Brandon. There's hours of videos on there. You might want to check those YouTube videos.
Oh yeah, Singular. Okay. This was this year too. Okay, great. Yeah, I haven't watched any of those yet.
Oh my God. I was sleeping on those. I was just listening. I'm going nuts listening to those. So many companies, so many innovative ways. Gosh. It's like I need some crazy people with me on this. So
yeah, I will definitely watch these. I knew that just finished last week, I think. I knew once these videos came out, I was going to watch them all. So appreciate the share.
Good. Take care, guys.
See you, Robbie. All right, everyone, I'm going to stop recording right now.